So that was Donald Trump coming out to a chorus of boos at the Libertarian National Convention. What's funny about that is that people were saying that it was probably going to be a hostile crowd before he even got there, but he walked right into it thinking that he could keep selling them the same lines of bullshit that he's been selling to his cult, but it did not work on them, and it just kept getting worse as it went. I think it went about 30 minutes, and he just kept digging himself in a hole, and there was no way out, and it's absolutely glorious to watch. But watch what happens when he tries to try out a lot of his same old talking points on this crowd. Take a look.
You can talk about defending freedom, but I've actually put everything on the line to resist these despots and these stuff. And I stand before you tonight as your best hope of defeating the weaponized Biden and the very evil regime that his people, because it's probably not him, because he doesn't know where the hell he is.
See, that's what happens when he tries out those same old cliches on an audience that's not buying it. He thought he could go out there and say Crooked Joe and talk about the weaponized government against him. He thought he could go out there and play victim. It didn't work because they could see through his bullshit. And you know he had to have been standing there seething. And he had to be standing there completely a duck out of water at that point because he's so used to people just cheering on every little stupid catchphrase and cliche that he says. And just when you think it can get worse, it just keeps going downhill because now he starts begging them to please endorse him. Please vote for me. It's so funny to watch.
Nominate me or at least vote for me, and we should win together. You heard those words. Nominate me or vote. Vote for me. Because the Libertarians want to vote for me, and most of them will. And it's very important. Because
I love how he says Libertarians want to vote for me, and most of them will, while they're booing him out of the room. It shows you that he is not capable of changing gears. He's not capable of trying out a different tactic. He doesn't have the ability to go, okay, this is a hostile environment, this is a hostile room, but I can work around it. He doesn't know how to play it by ear because all he does is goes out there and repeats the same old talking points. So when he says that and makes a fool of himself, what does Donald Trump do? Just continues to make a fool out of himself and beg them for their votes. But this one is even funnier. Watch this.
Wrote an article yesterday in which he mentions just some of the things that make me a libertarian without even trying to be one. That's nice. D. Roy wrote, Donald J. Trump will address the Libertarian Party and its national convention on Saturday. The Libertarian Party should nominate Trump for President of the United States. Whoa. That's nice. That's nice. Only if you want to win. Only if you want to win. Maybe you don't want to win. Maybe you don't want to win.
I really believe it was at that point that he just snapped. He couldn't take it anymore. And it's like, well, maybe you guys don't want to win. And I love that. But if you want to win, vote for me. What's so funny about that is that Republicans haven't been winning with Donald Trump. He won in 2016. And they have lost every election since with Donald Trump. This big red wave that they say is coming has not come. It's not going to come this November either. And they're going to be sitting back going, well, we don't understand why. Well, this whole thing should be a little bit of an eye-opener to say, hey, guess what? Not everyone is buying our bullshit. But Donald Trump, even on his way out the door, he can't think of nothing fresh to say. He just doubles down and begs like a dog on his way out the door. Take a look at this.
You can either nominate us and put us in the position or give us your votes. I would say nominate or give us your votes, but we want libertarian votes because you stand for what we stand for, and don't waste a vote. And don't allow the worst president in the history of our country to come back and do the final destruction of America. Thank you very much, everybody. God bless you. God bless you.
Even on his way out the door, even his last words, he just tried to keep hammering home his stupid cliches, because at the end of the day, that's all he's got. But this should be a real eye-opening moment for MAGA, and it's amazing to me that they can't see what's going on. Outside of their rallies, outside of their little cult gatherings, there is a world who is sick and tired of Donald Trump's bullshit. And I don't understand how they can't see that they have to have independents, they have to have moderates, they have to have undecided voters, they have to have libertarians, they have to have people who aren't going to vote for Joe Biden, who don't want Joe Biden to have another 4 years. That's who they need. So they have to come up with something better to win them over, and they've got nothing. They just keep doubling down with the same rhetoric that so many people is tired of. And then come November, when he loses, they'll look around and they'll go, well, why? It had to have been rigged. There's no way this could have been possible. Yes, it was possible the entire time, because so many people were sick of that shit. You can sit in the smallest dive bar in your town, and it can be packed. And you can say that it's the best bar around and that everybody loves that bar. You can sit in the smallest church back in the hills, and you can say everybody loves this church, everybody goes here, but if there's only 50 people in it, that's not true. So when you go out to your Trump rallies and you sit there and you wear your shirts and you come up with your ridiculous flags, your ridiculous t-shirts, and you march around dressed up in all the garb, in that moment, I'm sure it does feel like that you're winning. I'm sure it does feel like that you're the ones with the loudest voice, but you're not. When he steps outside of his element, when he steps into a different crowd, he does not know how to navigate the waters. He doesn't know how to read the room. Years ago, when I first started playing music in dive bars, I had a dear friend named Kenny who really showed me the ropes. He had been playing them about 20 years longer than me, and he really, taught me the ropes of how to read the room. And that's what he said to me. He said, Brandon, you're going to have to learn to read the room. And sometimes he would sit back and just let me figure it out on my own. There was times he might throw me a pointer, do this, dig out of this hole. I've played to some pretty hostile redneck crowds before, but I won them over eventually because I knew how to navigate the water and get out of that situation. And I'm just some dude down here in East Tennessee playing in a redneck dive. I figured out how to win over a hostile crowd. He couldn't do it. Why? Because he has nothing left to give. And yeah, folks, it does look like it's going to come a pretty big storm here in East Tennessee, so I better get back in the house and get off this porch. But I tell you what's not coming, that big red wave. It's not going to get here, no matter how many times they predict it, no matter how many times they call it. It's not going to happen. And at the end of the day, the answer is pretty simple. Everyone besides MAGA is sick and tired of Donald Trump and his bullshit.